All right, guys, how's it going? Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about Ibrahima Konaté, boo, Real Madrid, boo, and José Félix Díaz. All right, Jose, how you doing? He's all right. Now, listen, if you don't know who José Félix Díaz is, he is the closest journalist to Real Madrid and basically Florentino Perez, the Real Madrid president, okay, El Presidente. Now, think of him like Paul Joyce at the times when it comes to writing about Liverpool. He's obviously the closest journalist, Liverpool Football Club. So, for some time, José Félix Díaz has been pushing the story or publishing numerous reports throughout last year saying that Real Madrid were, wanting to sign Ibrahima Konaté and that Konaté wanted to go there and that it looked fairly certain to happen. Now, recently, The Athletic, David Ornstein, who is another journalist you should listen to concerning Liverpool Football Club, Ornstein and two other journalists, one being the Real Madrid journalist and one being a general La Liga journalist, the three of them wrote an article, basically what I felt was like a collaboration between Liverpool and Real Madrid, saying this Konaté to Real Madrid is not going to happen. It was like both clubs were in on it. We're killing this story kind of thing. So they did that. Seemed a bit strange, to be honest with you. However, 7 to 10 days previously, I read an email on here under the mail stand feature, which claimed that Real Madrid were becoming very, very pissed off and annoyed with Konaté's agent, right? With suggestions that they were annoyed because they, I thought we had a deal with you kind of thing, like an unofficial deal, an unofficial agreement that you'd be coming to us, blah, 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 but you're still offering your client around, right? Okay, so that kind of then falls into, that came before the Athletic piece that said, oh no, they've ended their interest now. So I think it was linked, okay? Then, a few days ago, a journalist by the name of Marco Ruiz, who works for AS, is a long-standing Real Madrid journalist. He's often used to soft float Madrid interests. He basically works within the club briefing ecosystem, right, rather than pure speculation. So he's someone you should listen to. So he, a few days ago, published an article, which I went over on here with you, saying that, basically that Real Madrid had an interest or were interested in Konaté, but the demands, the personal terms being demanded, or the salary or the signing on fee or whatever, was not acceptable. So in other words, it ain't going to happen. They're not interested. But, change it, lower your demands maybe. And I said at the time, well, isn't that a bit strange? Because we've not heard from José Félix Díaz. You've got The Athletic coming out saying, it's not happening, it's not happening. And José's been telling us it's very likely to happen. So where the fuck is he, right? Now, José Félix Díaz did publish an article on the 28th of December. And I must apologise because somehow it slipped under my radar. Now, the thing is, I don't know if it was in the newspaper or not, because I do check the newspapers daily, right? I'm not going to go through them now, it's pointless. But I didn't see it in the print edition. However, there was an article on the AS website. And it's important that I bring it to your attention. Now, I was told by one of my viewers on here that, do you remember I said to you, I don't know if you've watched all my videos recently or live streams, and I said, I've sent a message to José Félix Díaz, because I've spoken to him before during the Trent Alexander-Arnold situation, and everything he told me came true, right? So I sent him a message saying, hey, Jose, what's the crack? What's going on with Konaté? I've not heard from you, kind of thing, right? One of my viewers then says, the very next day after you sent that message, Dunk, he published this article, and that's how I found out about it. And I've not heard back from him, by the way. He's a busy man, but I don't even know if he's read my message. But this is what the article says, and this is where, I just think it's important, because José Félix Díaz is the one you want to listen to, concerning Real Madrid matters. And the article was titled, Real Madrid tired of auctions. The club does not want to take part in the bargaining circus that always appears around players who are coming to the end of their contracts. The rule is clear, absolute silence. Okay? With the market closed until June, or at least that is what they are letting slip from Valdebebas. Now, Valdebebas is Real Madrid HQ. Real Madrid's interest regarding signings is focused on next summer, right? Continuing a strategy that has a trend in recent years, targeting players whose contracts are close to expiring. Obviously, Konaté would be one of them. The problem is that many agents and players are trying to take advantage of that trend. Konaté's agent. Okay? Then there's talk of Konaté, Upamecano, Ruben Neves. They're all out of contract on June 30th, and all three have been offered to Real Madrid in recent weeks. And José says all three have been rejected by the club. Although they have managed to exploit the situation so that their names appear everywhere linked to Real Madrid. Now, if you think about it, hang on a minute, Jose, you've been writing about him yourself. That's not, that you're no mug. This is clearly something's gone wrong with Real Madrid here. They're pissed, right? And they're making out, they're exploiting the situation. That's why that's why you read about Konaté for so long. He's the main man, right? So that's nonsense. However, obviously other newspapers and journalists are writing about these players. But I feel like this is, I feel like Real Madrid are trying to be like, we were never interested anyway, kind of thing, These movements, the free transfers, are often exploited by agents to create a favourable climate and secure a better deal elsewhere by riding on supposed Real Madrid interest, as happened with Alphonso Davies a little over a year ago. Now, if you remember, everyone expected Davies to go to them, but a U-turn. They're trying to make out now, if you think about it, that he was riding on the supposed Real Madrid interest. Basically, they don't want to admit that he snubbed them, right? And Alphonso Davies and Trent Alexander-Arnold at the same time, their situations were running parallel. And, José Félix Díaz said to me himself, that with Trent, we expect Trent to go there, but, anything could happen. We saw what happened with Davies. Mbappe, if you think back a couple of years ago, gave them their word he would join them, and he didn't until later. So they were a bit squeaky bum about Trent. But he said at the time that his agent or whatever, his brother, was saying, no, we promise you we're coming to Real Madrid. But what they're doing in this article is making out that all these players are we were interested in them. You know what I mean? So it's fucking terrible, aren't they? Absolute silence, it says now, as a sub-headline. And it says, for this reason, this is the agents exploiting the situation, try and get better deals with their own clubs and stuff like that. That's what he's implying here. Meetings with agents of these types of players are examined in great detail. Real Madrid do not want to get involved in the bargaining that always surrounds players who are about to be out of contract. The rule is clear. Absolute silence. The club will continue to follow the path taken in previous years with Rudiger, Alaba and even Mbappe. But that does not mean this is their only market, nor that they are interested in everyone whose contract is expiring. So in other words, we're not going after every free signing that's out there. And we might pay some money as well for someone. Okay, that is basically the article of what is said. So I've threw the article at Dave. Dave's my AI assistant that I've trained for over a year now to analyse football articles and things, right? And he gives his analysis. And he says here, as summary, what this article is really saying, José Félix Díaz reports that Real Madrid are growing tired of what they see as agent-driven auctions around players nearing the end of their contracts, right? While Madrid have built a reputation for signing free agents, Díaz is very clear here. Not every expiring contract equals genuine interest. Crucially for Liverpool fans, Ibrahima Konaté is grouped with other players who have been offered to Madrid in recent weeks and rejected. Díaz frames this is important, the word frames. Díaz frames this as Madrid shutting the door on inflated wage demands and media noise, reinforcing their policy of absolute silence rather than public bidding wars. This piece strongly downplays the idea that Konaté's move to Madrid is automatic or inevitable, and it fits neatly with AS later reporting, that other article, Marco Ruiz was that journal, that Madrid have cooled interest due to salary expectations. So when you think back, when we got that email on the Mail stand before the Athletic thing saying that Real Madrid had ended their interest. It does sound like that email sounds 100% genuine now, doesn't it, guys? Because Real Madrid clearly were pissed with them, right? So, José publishes that, and then that other journalist, Marco Ruiz, was it Marco Ruiz? Yes, then followed up a couple of days later, basically saying the same sort of thing, that, you know, the wage demands were too excessive. Dave's take, what this means for Konaté to Madrid. This is a cooling article, not an acceleration one. A few key points stand out, Dunk. Díaz explicitly says Konaté has been offered to Madrid and rejected. That's a big shift from earlier pieces that he wrote, where the tone was Madrid waiting patiently. See, Dave remembers every article, you see. The phrase absolute silence is deliberate. This is Madrid saying they will not be drawn into public wage auctions or agent pressure. Grouping Konaté with Upamecano and Ruben Neves is important. It subtly downgrades him from priority target to one of many names being pushed by agents. You see, it feels like Real Madrid really wanted him, and for whatever reason, like maybe the agent's got, you know, maybe the agent and Konaté are not being bullied and have said and stood up to him and said, no, we know what he's worth, right? And it's pissed Real Madrid off because now they don't want you to feel like he was a priority target, and before he was a priority target. I can't wait to see what happens with Konaté. Now, does this kill the idea of Konaté joining Madrid on a free? Not entirely, but it changes the conditions. My read, this is Dave, Madrid haven't slammed the door shut, but they've stepped back, which is similar to that article the other day. If Konaté's camp wants Mbappe-level leverage or bidding, Madrid are out. If Konaté lowers expectations and plays the long, quiet game Madrid prefer, the door could reopen later, especially if Liverpool still can't renew him. The timing also matters. AS publishing a follow-up by Marco Ruiz saying Madrid ended interest due to salary demands lines up perfectly with Díaz's message here. Same club line, same briefing tone. In other words, Real Madrid want to make sure they get that story out there. The bottom line, earlier articles by Díaz painted Madrid as calmly waiting. This one paints Madrid as irritated, selective, and unwilling to be used. Which again, think back to that email, the suggestion was that the agent was still offering Konaté to other clubs like Milan and stuff like that. All right? And that it could be seen as trying to get better terms and that. And Real Madrid saying, we're not going to be fucking used. It's all making sense, I think, now. Oh, I love it when this shit fucking falls into place, don't you? Konaté to Madrid on a free is no longer inevitable. It's now conditional and much colder than it was a few months ago. Old school Madrid moved this, by the way. Silence, patience, and a raised eyebrow. If you blink, you're out. I think Dave's right. I think it's all right. I'm not going to go over it all again. You know the timeline. I'm glad I got this article, to be honest with you, because I couldn't understand why he was not saying anything. It's only a couple of days ago, but Madrid. The article paints Madrid as irritated, selective, and unwilling to be used. Konaté to Madrid on a free is no longer inevitable. It's now conditional. Right? And conditional, you know what that means, right? It means that they've got to say, we want to go to Real Madrid. All right, we will lower our demands. I still think it could happen, but the only way it's going to happen now is if that happens, if that situation presents itself with the financial, terms or whatever, all right, okay, well, fair enough. In other words, what Real Madrid offer, you take or you can fucking forget it, is basically what's going on here. And I think this is why this has panned out for some time. We know Bayern Munich have been linked. We know PSG have been linked. Liverpool will obviously still try and renew him. They'll do that with any player that's, because you don't want to lose an asset. I think most Liverpool fans like me probably don't give a fuck, because even if he had a great season so far with his form, even if he'd had a great season so far, Even if he was the best thing since fucking sliced bread. I'm sort of like, I don't know if you're like this, but I'm like, do you know what? I'm sick of fucking hearing about it now. If you don't want to be with us, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Mo Salah. I don't care if you're Wurst. I don't care if you're Alisson. If you don't want to play for Liverpool, fuck off, right? And I ain't got a problem if you want to go and further your career somewhere in your eyes. Just be honest, right? If he wanted to fucking play for Liverpool and sign for Liverpool, he'd done this ages ago. What I mean is he would have signed ages ago with Liverpool, right? They're keeping their options open. That's common sense. So the commitment is, he's not in a rush, is he, to sign for us? He hasn't come out, has he, and gone, I'm not really sure, my agent's taking care of things. And he could have one extra line there and say, yeah, I love this club. I hope it gets sorted out because I want to be here. He's not done that, right? So he's leaving the options open. I personally am still interested as to where he goes, if he goes. But if he re-signs for Liverpool, I'll be like, you were fucking... Oh, I always wanted to sign for Liverpool. Real Madrid are pissed with Konaté, and they're throwing other names in there as well that are obviously trying to mug them off or something. So, but you've got to remember that José, as good as he is, he's still propaganda. But a lot of these journalists are, including Ornstein and Joyce. You've got to look for it. So I think that's it. I think we'll leave it there. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed that. I've been wanting to do that one for you since yesterday. Yeah. All right. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed the video, please thumbs up the video. Please drop me a comment. There's love out under the video if you want to support my channel. Woo! All right. It's got the super thanks. If you take care of me and get me a super thanks, I'll give you a super fucking thank you in my morning briefing tomorrow. Okay, you can join my channel if you want. They're the people with the little footballs next to the name in the comment sections. When you see them in the comments, you fucking bow to them people. Because if it worked for them, we wouldn't be here. I'm telling you. All right. Now, there's 3 links in the video description if you want to support me that way. That's kind of like get me a coffee or a beer, to be honest with you. Revolut's my preferred one, but all 3 are fine. I'm not fussy. Revolut's just my beer kitty, when I go to a bar. That's it. All right, guys. I'm off. Oh, screensavers come on. Look at that. Ooh. I didn't put that on. I prefer that one. What do you think about that one? Yeah? It's not a screensaver, that one, actually. That is a programme that I was watching on LFC TV. There we go. What a man. All right, guys. See you later.